Hi, my name's Courtney.
And I'm Autumn, and today we're going to be talking about how people's environment and their culture can affect their gait and their posture.
The first thing we want to talk about is the theory that people from different cultures have different shaped spines when compared to Western cultures. Anthropologists have hypothesized that those in Western culture have more of an S-shaped spine, while people in indigenous cultures have more of a J-shaped spine, as you can see in this skeleton from the Stone Age. So one of the more prominent examples was the skeleton, but since we really didn't see any other skeletons in the Milwaukee Public Museum, we wanted to walk you through a couple different examples. So anthropologists have actually found that those in indigenous cultures have more of a regal posture, and then certain cultures in India and Africa display more of a posture that's less curved. So as you can see on the right spine in this picture, that this is a less curved J-shaped spine. And so when looking at someone from the West culture, on the left, that we display more of an S-shaped spine, and they've even taken x-rays of those in indigenous cultures to prove this J-shaped spine. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about that people from indigenous cultures have J-shaped spines and people from Western cultures have more S-shaped spines. So I just kind of want to talk a little bit about why that could be. So people in Western cultures tend to have more high of obesity rates, and so this right here is your lumbar curve, okay? And right here is the anterior part. So if you have someone with a lot of fat buildup, this could pull this more anterior and you would have a more prominent curve. And so people in indigenous cultures that don't have all that weight hanging anterior would shift that spine back to looking more like this, like more J-shaped. And so that's kind of a hypothesis as to why that could be, yet anthropologists really don't know why now, so there's a lot more research needed on this topic. Okay, so we talked a little bit about how some people from different cultures might have a J-shaped spine and some people from other cultures might have an S-shaped spine. So this is really important in the clinic to keep in mind because everyone that you're seeing might not have the same shaped spine. And so we shouldn't necessarily jump to conclusions and say that they have a certain type of pathology or related to the shape of the spine. It's just something we need to keep in the back of our mind and just realize that there's not a lot of research done in this area right now.
And then some implications that we can take going forward into the clinic when we have patients that have low back pain, we might hypothesize that that might be due to their shape of their spine, but there is not a ton of research out there, so still unknown. But then if you see someone who has a lot of excess fat or is obese, that might be pulling their spine anterior, especially in their lumbar region, so the curve would be a greater curve than someone who isn't obese.
So today we want to talk a little bit about different terrain and the arches and the musculature of your feet and up the kinetic chain, your posture up the kinetic chain. So in Wisconsin, we really don't think about, walking on rugged terrain often or with bare feet especially. So in different cultures, right now we're standing behind East Africa exhibit. So they're continuously thinking about where they're going to put their feet on the rugged terrain, and their foot musculature and their arches are definitely going to have an important role in walking every day for them.
So one of the exhibits in the museum, we saw these people hunting this animal, and we thought that this was a really good exhibit to kind of analyze the rough terrain that hunters may have to go through, specifically looking at the different rocks and how they have to transfer and absorb forces that are not even like in America when looking at concrete or carpet. And then as well as they don't wear shoes, so it's really important that they have intact arches to be able to absorb and transfer the forces up through the kinetic chain. So even Samson isn't a human. We thought that it was super important to look at his arches, and you can see that they're very prominent. And this was so he could be able to walk around on those rough surfaces that were changing constantly. Since we know that arches in the foot are primary load-bearing and shock-absorbing structures, it is important to realize how important our feet are. Those that live in rough terrain and wear no shoes will have intact arches to allow for absorbing forces and transferring them up the kinetic chains, compared to Western society where we wear shoes that might support our arches so our feet don't have to work as hard. So when working with clients, it's super important to be aware of their arches, because it might, if they have poor arches or if they have flat feet, that might lead to them having knee pain or hip pain or anything up the kinetic chain from the ankle.
And it's really important to be aware of how much support your client's shoes are giving them, just to, know how much support their arches are actually having to provide or not having to provide. Thanks for watching.